Hello, everyone. Hopefully, I am live. Okay, still new at this. Um, so today's topic, I just really wanted to kind of get into like these systems, the seven main systems of like just how all this narcissism works. And I want to like keep it 100% real. I feel like a lot of times, we're on here. It's just a lot of times there's just so much information that people are, they try. Some people try, but some people are just flat out liars. And keeping really having an understanding of the strategy and how you indoctrinate it in this whole system is so very helpful. So I kind of want to go into that right now or kind of talk about it because this thing is a beast. And I mean like literally a beast. Like literally the beast that Revelation talk about with the seven heads, that thing. And we are just living in a time now where, it's so many different moving parts. Like the narcissism was just one part. Like that narcissist, one part. So just to kind of touch on like how we got here. So our world, like it's kind of ran on like these seven systems. Like you got the government system, you got the art system, the entertainment, you have educational system, you have family system, you have all of these different culture systems, and these seven main systems. They call them like the seven mountains. I'm gonna try to bring this up, like the mandate, but the seven systems kind of got indoctrinated into our brain. Um, Let me see if I can even bring it up here. But these seven systems, even the church kind of talk about it, like it even got indoctrinated or intertwined in relationship. Because I used to, when I was going to the church, I was hearing them say like, hey, we got to take back these mountains and these systems. And, we going to the art system, we going to the entertainment, we taking over the business, we taking over this. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, are we talking about the same like systems that they talk about in the culture books and government? Because I think that's a different kind of system. I think we just need to stay on track with the God system. But when you have narcissistic leaders, it's like their doctrine is right and their doctrine is true. So this kind of happened like in the 60s, but this is how this Jezebel system started to get set up and indoctrinated and programmed. Like programming is very, very important because now we going to a place where they talking about this programmable matter and all of this stuff, and that science and health, that is a system. And so we want to kind of get out of the DELULU land and we want to get into reality, but we got to figure out like how are these systems really intertwined? Because every interaction that had came with the narcissist, that was just flat out like Baal worship, right? They worship in Baal. Jezebel was part of Baal, Phoenician, Europa, like all of that stuff is involved and all of it is linked together. So we want to kind of see how did we get here? And the narcissist, I want to really, I'm gonna try to share this clip because I want people to really understand what is happening in their mind. Like we try to say, hey, they abandoned their moral compass. Demons are highly involved, but it's still, unless you kind of get a visual or kind of hear it a little bit, it's hard to really grasp that information because it's something that's more happening. We see it in the medical field or we see it in the quantum, but it's hard to really explain it and break it down when people are actually in relationships with these people or these people are family members. And then there wasn't any real education in our system on what the moral compass is or how your spirit, soul, consciousness, and all of that works. So this guy is like a German physicist, and he really explained what happens because he studied a lot with this whole like black goo, artificial intelligence, like AI is highly involved, all of this stuff. But he was saying like even years ago, they were already doing these things on the narcissist. That's why they're so wicked, because there's no human spirit. Like in order to have your spirit man alive, it takes you to be born again. But even those going in a process, you have to have love and compassion. And when you continuously practice evil, that's like continuously practicing black magic. then they can take that because you willfully give over your ability to love. And so kind of this is how he kind of explains
if the
what's happening with narcissists with
conditions.
fair use.
Narcissism is different. In narcissism, the problem is that the traumatization is done in a way that actually the moral compass becomes the self. There's no self. There's not even a personality. There's actually this part of the spiritual setup that is observing and giving advice, that has the ability to basically find a way between ideal reaction and realistic reaction.
So it's imitation.
So what I'm gonna let him say his comment.
It's the moral compass. The Freud called it the Über-Ich. The what is it in English?
Yeah.
Not
the over I.
So I'm gonna try to break it down as far as like in our terms. Like, so now what he's explaining is like now they study something called epigenetics, right? Epigenetics is like what programs our genomes. So they've done the genomes, they studied that these genes actually mean something. And once they studied that, they said, whoa, wait a minute, like in science, there is something that influences the genes that actually can shape them. And that actually shapes the genes from generation to generation down to 3 to 4. So when they studied the epigenetics, they're like, our behaviors actually can transcribe our genetic makeup in our DNA, which is consistent with the Bible with generational curses. So what he's explaining here is that phenomenon, like what Freud, they were like occultists, but what Freud was calling a super id, that's like the spirit realm. So there are spirits that influence your thoughts and processes and your genes and how you act and your character. And then that influence that they do, if you do the behavior long enough, you change your very DNA. Just like I always say, we can be born again, we can put on the mind of Christ. Our mind can be renewed with prayer, reading the Bible, and our DNA start to change into a likeness of Christ. And if we continue that behavior, our children start to change into a likeness of Christ. Well, they do the opposite. They do their rituals, their manipulation, their cheating, their stealing, their all of that stuff that they do, and it's all rituals. The humiliation, that's a ritual. Sex magic, that's a ritual. Everything that they do to dehumanize you, those are rituals, and those rituals practiced repeatedly is black magic, whether they know it or not. So they're either in known witchcraft or they're in blind witchcraft. And blind witchcraft is when they're kind of practicing it, but they don't really know what they didn't sign the contract physically or knew enough. It might have happened, before they were born or however. This is just their way of living, but it's still witchcraft. And there's a law in the spirit realm that's going to act on that. So when you're dealing with someone who is into black magic or blind witchcraft, and they're operating as a temple for Baal, then that person, that Baal temple, it does require sacrifices. So that's why they act the way that they act. They already are gone. Their parents sacrificed them. So they're getting into this relationships, and the way that the enemy is taking over, because it becomes two souls in one body, the way the enemy takes over is that he requires for them to use somebody, sacrifice them, use their children, sacrifice. Like he requires that. So he just changed their mind. He just put another demon in the body. So it's kind of like they're meat suits. And then to the degree of how severe they are taken all the way over, that depends on the ritual. So with any type of like black magic practices or sorcery or anybody that has ever been in that stuff, there are levels based on how much a person is willing to sacrifice and give. So the people that have been doing it longer and longer and longer and gave up more and more and more, they're deeper entrenched in it. And that other soul, that other being, that demonic entity, they call them archons or ruler spirits, it actually completely takes over the vessel. So that's kind of what the makeup of it all. And when people are like, well, I don't know, like sometimes they act nice, sometimes they're sweet. If there's no love in that vessel is capable of taking you out and your children. That's why we hear these horror stories on here. The couples, like they had a couple on TikTok, both of them are not here. They had all of these couples, and just in the news, if you just with the DV, the rent is high, like the violence is high nowadays. But they have all of these things happening, like SNAP and everything, because these demons are unpredictable. Like these are ruler powers. So in Ephesians, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities. We wrestle against powers. We wrestle against spiritual wickedness in high places and rulers of darkness. So these are those ruler spirits, and they are controllers. And the person, the very narcissist themselves, is the altar. So when we look at like Phoenicia, when we look at Jezebel, Jezebel was an altar for Inanna. So Inanna is actually Venus, but that's Jezebel was the altar. So I'm gonna try to show these things because I want it to be backed up. So we have Baal here. Okay, Baal was actually the main deity that Jezebel worshiped. So Baal, aka Satan, aka Zeus, aka many names, many different spellings, Moloch, whatever they want to call them, based on the culture. But I'm gonna focus on Babylon culture right now because we in a Babylonian system. This is what we're dealing with right now in our country. This is what's happening, and they have already been programming everyone to be in this DELULU land system filled with all these narcissists. So we got to start understanding, and we have to educate ourselves and know what exactly we're dealing with here, because this thing has the ability to take people completely over. And these are the same ones. So anytime you see any of this stuff, it's all Baal. And Baal is the enemy of God. Like he's always been an enemy of God. He even deal with Beelzebub, that's the flies. That's the whole thing as well, because them flies, they usually be in a house with the narcissist. So anytime that they had Baal around or was worshiping him, things that happened were flies. You had witchcraft, you had infirmities, you had death or the reaper, darkness, pestilence. All of that stuff is affiliated with Baal. And Baal is the worship of self. So it's self-idolatry. That is the main blueprint of the narcissist. And Leviathan worked with them too, because right next to Baal Temple was Dagon. He's the marine kingdom part. So you got celestials, underworld, marine kingdom. All of those satanic, those are three main kingdoms, but all of those satanic kingdoms work together to destroy people and take them over. And we are number one targets, especially since the wickedness has increased with CERN. So we got a lot of things happening in this world that's making it to where these narcissists are only going to get worse. Like there is no way to really work it out with them, because you have, and further in that guy's discussion, and if I play too much, I'll get some type of copyright. I probably will anyway. I don't know, because I'd be keeping it real, okay? But you got all of this nanotech, right? And this demonic particle stuff in the air. That stuff attaches to darkness on the inside. So the darkness on the inside, I would say go on the inside of somebody's heart, it's like bitterness, occult, stuff like that. So, because if you take out a lung with, cancer or gallbladder poison or whatever, it's dark. So that's the dark on the inside, and the dark on the outside have to connect with that. So that's why we got these movies, we got the entertainment, we got these mountains, these systems, the educational systems, all of that stuff trying to remove God from us so that the darkness can merge inside with us so they can take us over and connect to the hive mind. See, there's a whole end game bigger than what we can ever imagine dealing with this. And you have all of these, even a family system, they put these movies out here, right? Like you can just get with this reformed bad guy and they love the good girl, or however, or you can do it reverse. You can be, the girl can be on the streets and then the guy comes and rescue them and they live happily ever after. No, that is a unequally yoked demonic setup. That is a miserable family. It is not like it is on Hollywood. No, no, no. And they have programmed that this was okay. They did it with Beverly Hills 90210. They did it with Saved by the Bell. It was always some type of mismatch. You can tell what era I'm from because that was the stuff we watched back in my day. But you know, it was always like that. And so they programmed, and then you had the Tupac, you had the hip hop. They programmed you for to get in these entanglements with people that are not like-minded, with people that think completely opposite, with these broken vessels. Like you could be broken and you're like, hey, I'm not going to judge. And that's cool. It's a lot of broken people. Most of America, because most of America had dysfunctional homes growing up. But it is not the same when somebody choose to do wickedness, no matter where they come from. Because we all probably been through a whole bunch of stuff, but everybody ain't choose to make a contract with the devil. Everybody didn't choose to be practicing witchcraft and putting stuff in people's food. Everybody didn't choose to gaslight and make people go ziggity boo and make people and abandon their children. You know, no people, we all didn't make those same choices, and those choices were based on our hearts. So everybody don't have the same heart. Some people have very dark hearts, and these people are enslaved to the system. They're the recruiters of the system. So we trying to smash the system because the system is very strategic and set up by the devil. And if you don't smash the system is to set you up. You go over these mountains, you know, the education mountain, the business mountain. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put in all these hours. I'm going to work 60, 80 hours a week. You go into all these other systems, the entertainment system, the art, whatever all the systems are, the fun. I'm going to go out sometimes. I'm going to enjoy myself. But they leading you to the healthcare system so they can override and overtake your system. Okay, this global thing, this is a real thing. Because I'm going to tell you, even with the Babylon whore, because that's where we at now with the beast system, the 7 heads, those are the mountains. The beast that came out the Marine Kingdom Ocean with the 7 heads, that's where we at. And there's a Babylon system happening right now. And we have, I'm going to show you who, even in the system, you got, just if you look at all the movies, just movies in America right now telling you about this Babylon system. This movie just came out with the Babylon, but it was based on movies that were already out about the Babylon system. I don't know, I gotta get some water. Sorry about that. But this is live. I'll be super excited because this is what's happening. So you got the Babylon system. They always got the little whore in the red dress. And this system is set up just the way that it should be with the narcissist, to condition your mind to accept all of the things that they are doing. And so you got that happening, but all of it, when you look at who was originally worshiping Baal, the originator, and I'll go back to Nimrod. So Nimrod is highly involved. He was the Canaanite. He was all involved in this system. It's a cultural system. And cult is different. A culture is different than a faith or a belief. Religion is part of it, but they got their own religion that's a lot different than the religion of God. This is the religion of themselves and putting these ancient beings down here and getting them to destroy humanity. Literally. They got Gilgamesh. All of them are involved in this system. Nebuchadnezzar is involved in the system. Things were happening in, Iraq. It's a lot to it. And I have to be, careful because we are live on YouTube. However, but I'm going to keep it real. We are in this system. They have brought over things over here, and they are about this Babylonian life. And we at a place now where God has told us, he said, come out of her, my people. He didn't say we got to hurry up and move from America. No, I probably wouldn't do that because this is a global system and AI is everywhere. But we do have to come out of the mindset of this system. And the first way we can do that is coming out of the DELULU land. We got to flush our life of these narcissists, whether they in a workplace, whether they in a relationship, whether they in a family. because they all have the same goal, and that's to keep you enslaved to the system. Because you are constantly like want to talk about the stuff because they're so negative. They so negative. They do so much crap, but it'll keep you constantly having them on your mind, on your thoughts. And our thoughts are very, very important because our thoughts are the high place. Anytime that Israel had sinned against God, they had an issue with the high place. So when we look here at the high places are mountains. See, it's out. That's why they had the 7 mountains. They had the mountains to influence culture. Culture came from the occult. So it's the action of occult. So those are the high places, and the kings would not get rid of those high places. I think only 2 out of 16 really got rid of those high places. And those was the Baal. They kept sacrificing to Baal, and they kept sacrificing to Ashtoreth. So you got Inanna, because that's another name for that one. And then you got Baal. And those were the 2. Baal is AKA Moloch. So those were the 2. God was like, I'm about to just destroy them. And he did. He kept destroying them. And they just would not get rid of them. So now our high places are our thoughts. They figured out that, okay, now that the temple is our bodies, because a new covenant has happened, now things are spiritual. God did a whole transformation. He was the great reset. But now that that's happened, how do we get in their minds? Because that was the code that they kept trying to crack with CERN. They finally figured it out when they found their little God particle, which is called Daemon particle, Daemon. That's the whole thing. But they finally kind of figured it out. So now they want to not only just get in the mind, know what we're thinking, but they want to program our thinking. They want us to constantly focus on the things that we should be focusing on that they said to do. So this is all a setup. The narcissist was a setup. It was a setup to kind of cultivate and build that altar so that they could come in and take it over. And how you would know, that the narcissist is dealing with a whole cult stuff. When you look at a cult, what the definition of a cult is right here in a little AI definition, it's a whole system. It's a system of devotion, of religious veneration. That can be satanic or it can be God. It doesn't matter. It's a system and it's a devotion involved. And a narcissist make you devoted. See here, it's definitely go either way. So anytime that the narcissist, and it goes here, it causes like the idolization, it causes like mania for, passion for, fixation on, obsession with. Like this is all the symptoms that the narcissists do. And you always got to look at this Latin version of it because they speak Latin when they coming up with our language and stuff and they putting things in words. But anytime that we're thinking about what is happening with this culture, how these systems are set up, it is set up because of the code. So the whole cult of growing up, you were in all of these, you was conditioned, the cult of the family, then they sent you to the cult of the school, then they sent you to the cult of the business workplace, and you went to all these things. Then Satan sent you a self-cultivated narcissist that he conjured up directly from the pit, specially made and tailor-made for you, because you were the target. If you have compassion and love in your heart, either you were the target or your children were the target. But what Satan look at is light. Like in the spirit realm is dark light, and you got some mix. So you got some light with some spots. That was kind of me working on things, all that stuff. That's the main ones he target. You got some that's just finally figured out, they all light, and then you got some that's just all dark, the narcs. So what Satan does is he mix up the dark with the light and dark. But the kids probably were like really light. So that's what he was targeting. And then it's always tailor-made. That's why it's like when you're away from them, it feel like it's a psychic pull, or, sometimes like you can finally get over them and they can sense it because they have that spiritual awareness because it's not them. Okay, they permanently chained up somewhere in a dungeon in DELULU land. But that demon that's using that meat suit is very in tune with the spirit realm. That demon know when you pulling away. That demon know when any attachment is getting away. And then that's when they will send that narcissist right back around, make them have a phone call, do whatever they have to do to get you back into the cult. Because remember, I mean, you can even look at how they did in Hollywood. I think Justin Bieber had left one time and Usher went to go get him. You know, it's the same kind of setup. When Dave Chappelle left, somebody went to go get him. Or they were trying to find him. Anytime you're trying to disengage from the system and the cult, they will send someone to come and get you. This is a system of witches and warlocks, sorcerers, enchanters, all the magical, mystical, familiar spirits. That is what is orchestrating. So to be able to really break free from it and be 100% real, you have to identify what is my allegiance to this cult? What is this cult giving me? You know, that's the real question that you have to ask yourself, because in order to be indoctrinated into the cult, it had to entice you at some point, because nobody, just flat out were fools. It was a whole deception setup that caused the cult thing to even happen. So this is kind of like with the psychology today. What are some of the common stages and life cycle of the cult? Because we got to study the cult in order to really understand what to do with this narcissist. Because if anybody's still with the narcissist, now you have to get out of the cult. Like that has to happen, or the cult conditions will destroy. Like there's no good outcome with the cult. Never, ever, ever. So the common stage is one, that the narcissists have a big idea. They see you, they looking, they scanning, they doing all of that. Usually they're very charismatic. So they're going to put in some kind of effort to look at the weakness. Remember, Satan he studied you. He walking around. He's not doing that. You got a bunch of demons, a bunch of monitoring spirits, a bunch of watchers, handlers, all of that stuff, family members, all of that. They all looking and watching and observing. And so he already know what kind of perfect storm to create. A lot of times in order to be with the narcissist, starting out, there was a storm that happened. Like either the car was messing up, or maybe there was no car, or maybe something was going on with the home, or maybe finances, or the job loss, or some major other things were probably being cooked up, or a good promotion. Like it can be good stress, bad stress, but he puts a stress in there. So the stress happens. And once the stress happens and release all of that cortisol, he know that your brain is going to crave dopamine, because that's the opposite of the stress. That's what kind of make a person feel like, okay, I'm better, when they're stressed out. So you got cortisol, he coming for the dopamine. That's when they send the NARC, and the NARC is so wonderful and good. So love bombing, paying attention to your every need. So attention, validation, all of that can become addictive. So they're starting to get this cortisol dopamine thing working in the forerun. These are demons. These are the devil. Because remember, they gone. They gone to the gone. They left a long time ago. Sometime in childhood, they are not there. Even though the eyes are open, no one's home but some demons. But they got this whole thing, and they're like, hey, let's start a business. Like that's a good one. I'm gonna just use that one. Let's start a business. You're so smart and you're so creative, and oh my gosh, I can just sit here and listen to you. I know if I can't, other people can. And so while they're doing that, they're trying to figure out how to get on the tax ID, how to get their name intertwined in it, because they need to lock you in, and it has to be some type of contract, whether it's a business contract, marital contract, sex contract, child contract. They need to have a contract, because that's what the kingdom of darkness requires. So they have to do that. So they do the love bomb. This is just straight witchcraft. These are spells. So anytime that someone have a whispering spirit, now when you look in the Bible, when you translate these words like sorcery and stuff, there's a whispering, because you got enchantment. He said no enchantments, no necromancers, no witches, no witchcraft, no sorcery. So there's a difference. Sorcery is actually like the practice of it, but enchantment, I think enchantment is whispering, because they have a whisper. All of it is in a cluster of familiar. So under the familiar spirit umbrella, you got witchcraft, sorcery, enchantment, necromancy. All of that stuff is practicing some arts, and it's unauthorized access to the spirit realm. So our authorization comes through the Holy Spirit. That's how Jesus said he, give us life. He give us all the direction. He pours into us. We pour out spiritually. But when it's unauthorized, it's I want to manipulate this. I need things to go my way. That's when it becomes witchcraft. So it's so easy to fall into it. The lines can get blurred. But the narcissist operates under the familiar spirits, any spectrum. So they use love bombing. Their heart is not intent, like their words and their heart does not line up. A lot of times when people are truth tellers or they just keep it real or they honest, they're not just going to come into something just lying and trying to manipulate. They're going to come in, they're going to ask questions. Later on down the line to protect yourself, lying will develop because narcissists always depositing demons the longer you with them. Every day, some instant things are coming off of them. That's why you tripping or falling or they pushing you or things are happening, things getting lost. All of that stuff usually be them imps. Okay, things happen with imps. But that's kind of how people start changing is because of that stuff. When you connect it to something, it's just like a cord that the demons can just go back and forth with. So they love those contracts, those connections. But you have a new life. They usually promise a new life. Hey, I can, we can be a family. I'll take on your children, or maybe you don't have children. And they say, let's have children. Or as a female, I'm gonna love you like no other woman ever did. I'm gonna make sure I cook for you every day. I'm gonna run your bath water. All of these are common because they're in the movies. Narcissists stick to the program. If you know the movies that you watch on TV, you understand the program. They are programmed matter. They already have been programmed in the Babylonian system. They're not going to deviate from the movies. Even when they leave and the entertainment, I'm going to say, because music is involved, they can cause an argument because they feel like you can have makeup, sex, whatever, and that's the best sex to have. That's how they feel because it's in the movies. And the music tell them that. They are highly influenced by the culture system of Baal because they are the priests and the priestesses of the altars for the Baal system. So that's why everything really plays out like a movie or a book or something that you can read, but it can become predictable, even their unpredictable behavior, because they're in the movie and they feel like they're the star. So they do a growth. This is when they start to, after the love bombing, they start to try to take on like outsiders and flying monkeys or recruit people that because they have to grow their love cult. They have to start taking on your identity because that's going to be the next identity for the new supply, because they just get fragments of people's soul and they try to make a new character. The demons don't have the creativity. They're demonic entities. So they always have to draw on the life force of different humans. So that's why they're always collecting pieces of what people say and do. And they're always trying to see what expression is the best expression to give, because the demons have taken over that meat suit and they want to continue to collect people's essence, their life force. They got the rites of passage. They start telling you to, they start complaining about your family, your friends, different things like that, trying to change you. Like, hey, why you wear that? You should wear this. Oh, when you laugh like that, this person looked like this. And, they start to chip at you. But this is the cult. They're not even talking about the narcissist. They are just talking about a cult, okay? With the cult, this is what they do. They start to chip away. They start to engage in crazy sexual behaviors because sex magic comes with the cult. These are rituals. Then they have to isolate you because they are waiting. They have to get you away from people who love you, and they have to give you to people that they have indoctrinated into their occult with their belief system. So that's either their family, their flying monkeys, whatever system they set up just with you. But slowly that is going to happen. That's why getting away from them is such a huge withdrawal, because they get you addicted to their ideologies, to their systems. They become the god of their imaginations. That's what they ultimately want. They want your worship. Attention is worship. Okay, and that's what they want. God wants it too. And he's like, hey, once it gets to be enough and he see them plans of the narcissist, you cry out. When you done. It's like having them big brothers that be like, hey, when you finish with this joker, call me. We gonna come, we gonna put them out. That's how God is, because he know, like, when you still like him a little bit or like her a little bit, you still don't want to be done, you still want to work it out. He can't go against your free will. But he know that one cry, that cry when you just say, God, whatever it takes, I cannot go through this another day. He gonna step in. And that's when it's gonna be a tear and it's gonna hurt. You're gonna have to go through some withdrawals, because they had not only connected you spiritually, but your brain chemistry is a real part of the soul realm. So that's your mind, will, and emotions. And that chemistry has shifted with the dopamine and cortisol. So now when they have you walking on eggshells, it's so much cortisol consistently being released, your brain changed. Your fear center got higher because it's that amygdala that kind of grew a little bit bigger. Your memory center grew a little bit smaller because you were always on edge trying to figure out, what is this joker going to do next? Okay, maybe I got to silence them or quiet them, or what kind of moves can I make? Or if we go somewhere, how they going to act, or what they going to think, or what they going to do? Will we fall out and they put me out the car? All of these type of thinking keep that cortisol constantly going, cortisol and adrenaline. So that's the same thing as if, you were kind of doing a drug that can mimic that. So you're going to go through some withdrawal, but peace is good. It take the brain a year to kind of revert back to like the way that it was before the whole trauma stuff. And that's without any interaction. If you have to interact with them, it'll take a little bit longer. But without any interaction, usually with any type of substance or anything, it usually take your brain about a year to get back to where those receptors is not all there. Because when you're stressed out, you got more cortisol, you get more receptors. That's how that works. So you got to break the habit. You got to get through the first 3 weeks. Then you got to get through 3 more weeks. Then keep going. And 3-week intervals are very important, because a lot of times that's when your brain kind of reevaluate what's going on there. So you got this hate bonding. They always complaining. Okay. They get you to target certain things like, I can't stand the way they do this, or I can't stand this. Like my ex used to always talk about people who were struggling with their sexuality, right? But he always was struggling with his sexuality. So it's like a double standard. I'm like, that when somebody are hyper focused on that, especially a narcissist, usually that's because they're dealing with it. Okay, that's like red flag, because they always projecting. So if they are so hyper fixated, why do they move like this? Why do they move like, all of that, even supposed to be in church, right? And when they doing that, it's because that's their issue. And they becoming obsessed with that person. So they usually get you in some type of agreement, or try to, because I will keep it real with a NARC in a minute. Like, bruh, that's something you're struggling with, especially at this phase of my life. 20s, that was a different story. I was very ziggity boo. But after studying this thing, post-grad, all of that stuff, dealing with it in practice, yeah, I'm going to call you out on what you're doing. The traders, they want you to start betraying people. And they also, like what the cult does is, if they feel like you've done something against them, this is where that punishment comes into play. They feel like you deserve to be penalized, and they're going to penalize you to a point of severity to where you would never consider betraying them again. So they take that very serious. That's where like the gaslighting comes in. That's when, they might do something crazy, rage out, and then you'll get a call from the mom or get a call from a relative like, hey, what's going on with you two? Like, they seem like they're very sorry, and they seem like, they just really wanted to talk to you. Like, I kept, getting that. And even when I was going through stuff, and I'm like, one of them busted my head, another one choked me out, another one and turned off my lights. Like, what do we got to talk about? But they are so indoctrinated into their narcissist cult that they will call you on the narcissist's behalf, as if, you ain't just have to go to the hospital or something. And that's how crazy and deranged that it gets. And that's why, there were those high profile cases of the Mansons and all of them, because people can get so entrenched in this. Like, this is when they are into black magic and occult stuff based on their rituals that they consistently do. whether blind witchcraft or active, what they are doing is it's not just them, giving you all these accolades. It's the demons. It is seducing mind control spirits with tentacles and everything. It's the whole marine kingdom that comes into that relationship. You got spirit spouses in there. Those are very possessive. You got different marine spirits like the sirens, all of that stuff. They all come. The mammon spirit, that's the one that's always going to mess with your finances. They get you to get something, get you so high up a cliff, and they knock it all down. Like this kingdom is a big, massive kingdom that comes with that narcissist. So you get hit with all of this stuff, and you don't really, it's hard to understand what's happening because they keep you in DELULU. You got nightmares that come with that, tormenting spirits, because they come with incubus and succubus are sex demons, but they come with the old hag. All of that comes from the marine kingdom. So those are ones that you see the shadows in the house, or fear at night, or they come and torment the kids. You got the pan demon that come with them, even though that's in the forest, but they come with the little horns. Your children might see that thing. You got demonic spiders that come with them, because these are those spirits, the snakes, the kundalini. Those are the ones that give all the sex different ideas with the narcissist. These are all just some of the main big ones, ruler ones that is inside of the narcissist. They might not even know they have them, but those are the ones that are sitting there interacting. And Harry, I do want to answer your question, Harriet, as far as did the NARC sell their soul. So that's different based on the intensity of the narcissist. So blind witchcraft, they have ritually practiced it to the point where they may not know that their soul has been hijacked, because it's like in that movie Get Out, like that they're somewhere in the Lululand. They may be aware of what they do. Like some of them check in, check out. Some of them have conversations with the demons. So they are kind of in agreement, like, okay, yeah, you can do this. You can take over for a little bit. Okay, are you going to give me some money? Like it's like the imaginary friend. So some of them have that imaginary friend thing going on, and they might not know or might not have had that verbal sentence like, I need to have your soul in writing. So that's different. Now, there's other narcissists. The last one I was with, he was a minister, but he said he was in prison and he had made a deal with the devil in order to survive and get ranking in prison. And he actually did an act with himself in order to seal the deal. So there was some human fluid involved in order to make the deal sealed. So usually those are higher ranking astro projecting type of narcissists. Those are your warlocks. And a lot of times unfortunately they're in the churches. Those are the ones that will come out like, hey, I've been I was into witchcraft, and like Prophet Lavoie, that's kind of on his level, and they get a little bit more perks with it. Like they get out of jail cards, or like they can commit crimes and they don't get arrested, or they get to have like money come out of nowhere. Like they get things, they get more of the demonic rewards, but it's still self-destruction. They still have terrible diseases. They still have people that pass away that's around them. It's still total chaos. Anytime with witchcraft, you're going to always have infirmity. That's sicknesses, chronic sicknesses, illnesses, the reaper. You're going to have calamities, like I can't believe that happened type calamities. Front end of the car fall off, the engine blow up, radiator burst, the refrigerator go out, stove go out, like all the dishwasher break, appliances break. Anything that has a solenoid is going to break when there's a narcissist or witchcraft, because it's so much demonic energy. And it interacts with the magnetic field of the solenoid. That's one way to tell if you got a narc, if things are breaking, because it's all about the field's energy. Our soul is energy. You're going to have that go on, and you're going to have money, like financial things. You'll have blessings and then losses, blessings and losses. It'll never just be consistent blessings that the narcissists have. Things that they have will just fall apart. So that's usually the ones, usually with those contracts, because kind of like, did they sell their soul or not? Yeah, they may have had that verbal agreement and an act that's like with one ex, but I had some exes that didn't do that, but they just consistently chose to practice evil. Even if they got into church, they got in church just to seduce people, have fornications, have lust. So you got your narcissists that are just whores and cheaters and liars. And then you got some that are vindictive, like sociopathic, psychopathic. Those are usually the ones when they kind of get into that sociopath, dark triad, vindictive, manipulative, are usually talking to dark spirits and making contracts or deals. I'll do this if you give me this. So those are one that's negotiating. The other ones are just in DELULU and they just grew up and was raised around people who are whores and they feel like being a whore is a thing to do. So it's kind of different levels. None of them really have any love. And that's the main thing. Like when there's no love, no compassion, no empathy, God is love. So to be anti-God is to be anti-love. And they just don't have it. So that's kind of and it's even some people, they might not even know really who God is. This is a conscious thing, because he told us in Hebrews, this time he write the laws on our hearts and write it on our minds. We have a programmer, so we don't need this little demonic program. God is the programmer, he's the creator. So when he programmed us in the womb, some were programmed for love, and some based on, if their mom dedicated them to Lucifer, Rosemary Baby, they might not have been programmed that way. But even those people, some of those, he still would give a chance. So he still come to them. And some people, even the ones that were dedicated and were witches and warlocks or however, and they didn't really want to do that, they actually got mercy and changed their life. But it took changing their life, being about 10 to 12 years single, getting all of that demonic occult stuff out of their life, out of their heart, going through all of this stuff to just get rid of all of these altars inside of them. They did the soul fragment healing stuff, because when a person go through trauma, their soul gets split. So that's what the Babylonian system do. It's psychological occult stuff. That's why they do the school, the reward and the F. You get an A in class, an F in class. You think you're dumb, all this stuff, because it's designed to create a double mind and split your soul so they can control it. Same with the narcissist. But what they people who actually came out of this, they wasn't narcissists. Even though they was dedicated to the devil, they had compassion and they had some love in their heart. They couldn't go to the degree that some of the other ones went, and God had mercy on them. But the narcissists, even if they didn't go through the forest and the occult, they still have a heart for wickedness. They the ones that, growing up, they wanted to see their sibling get in trouble. They wanted to hurt animals. They wanted to, be the bully. They laughed when people got hurt in school. Like they had a wicked heart from the beginning. The Bible says some are born wicked from the womb. That's them. Like they choose wickedness even when presented with a platter of blessings. If they choose good, they will destroy it. Like most of you on here was really good for the narcissist. You were like the good that God gave them to show them, hey, your life can be such a blessing. And they chose to destroy it. That's because the enemy got them on a chokehold. They enslaved to the demonic kingdom. And it's something that keeps them there. That's what keep that contract when they sold is like sold to the darkness. That keeps that agreement in place, the terms and conditions of the contract, because they want to manipulate. They can choose to work, but they rather manipulate, get it for free. They can choose not to deceive you or just tell you the truth. They choose to lie. Like some of them still have some form of their conscience to where they know, hey, I'm about to lie. I'm gonna just lie and tell them whatever I want, because they are brag to their friends like, man, I just tell them whatever. Watch, I'm gonna just do them like this. They just very wicked. They just have a very wicked heart. And so those are the ones we have to really recognize, and we got to just stay away from them, because they're just evil. And it's just no way around them. And we have to protect our children. Whether you the father, pray over your children if you don't have custody, because they are going to link up with another wicked person that won't give a crap about your children, that will hurt your children. And the same for the women whose God get with another Jezzy, because that's a witch or a warlock. That's how it usually happens. Once they leave you, if you were like, had love in your heart and sent by God, oh, they coming with a wicked one because they wanted to be with their kind. They wanted to be with somebody that will be in agreement with all the wicked stuff, that won't hold them accountable, that's willing to sleep with them even though they're with somebody. Those are the wicked people that they wanted to be with. So those type of people are not about to take care of your child. So you have to really take precautions and standards to really protect your children. Don't think you being funny, because you're not. I've had children in my family, with some of my relatives. They are not here, and they were taken out at a young age, 3, 4, all of that, because the narcissist convinced them that they changed, or they thought about it, or CPS was involved. That they are directly ran by the demonic kingdom. And that demonic kingdom, Bel system, Jezebel, that's Molech. They want children. Okay. They feed on children. The marine kingdom feeds on children. We have to really understand the people that are these vessels, what operates through them. Because even the ones that you see on, even in some of the stories, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do it. I just blacked out. Yeah, something blacked in. And that was that spirit of murder. So when they have a spirit of hate, it's a whole tree, evil tree to this. That spirit of murder is there because they had unforgiveness and bitterness in their heart. So that Satan loads them up. It's like pre-cancerous cells. You might not get the cancer right away, but you do a carcinogenic, some nicotine, some stuff like that. Boom, you got malignant cancer. Same thing with the narcissist. They might not just be going around unaliving people, but you give them a situation where they feel like they right, even though they wrong, and boom, and you gonna leave, and you really for real this time. That's when that thing will ignite, and they will have glazed over eyes, or black eyes, or snake eyes, different kind of eyes. Okay, that's a different soul. If eyes are the window to the soul, that's why they eyes change, because they are completely possessed. Back to the list of the cult here. This is a system. This is a strategic system that is set up to take you out. And they do the witch hunts. So that's all of the witches, and all of them come, and then they come. Like, not only do they send their flying monkeys, and they go to your family, and they got flowers, and they do everything that you ever wanted to do. They'll go to church with you. They'll do all of that for a season. But that's when they really put on that type of mojo type of sex that they gave in the beginning, and they really let them spirits give their body that ability to do that stuff, because they have to get you back into the spider web. That's why I said there are spiders. That spider is highly attached to this, because in Nana, one of her underworld things, and this is the demon that this the celestial body that possessed Jezebel, and she is over the spiders in the underworld. And so that's why you have like a lot of webs and all of that stuff. But it's very important to know what you're dealing with, because these deities are still the same deities that are operating. Okay, so I'm gonna show you here so that you can see this stuff visually, because I really like believe in that, seeing it for yourself, because people can say anything, but when you look up this information, see this thing here in Nana is highly involved right here in Nana. And this is, she was over the spiders. So this demon, when they have the whole Jezebel, Bel system, Ahab system, they create a web. So one of the things with a Nana is to create a web. Okay. And a Nana got many names. She got the Venus. Now you see Venus, the celestial thing, is operating right now. That planet thing is here doing stuff. So that's the Nana now. So that's her little habitat. So when times like this is here, this season, understand that they are activated. So because the planetarium thing is here, that means anybody that Inanna possesses is going to crank it up. So if they with you, or if they don't have you and they in the love bomb, they're going to crank it up with the love bomb. That's why they love to celebrate Valentine's Day in that phase, to put the spell on. Other than that, they're going to ruin it. They're going to make sure that they do something to go all out to make a trauma happen during this time, because this is her season. See here? See the Venus thing? And the Venus thing is up there. And this is the Anana. And this is the thing that Jezebel, they call her the Queen of Heaven. So it's in the Bible where God was like, hey, don't do nothing with the Queen of Heaven. Like y'all sitting up here making cakes to her, doing all of that stuff, aka Mary, like all of that. That's still the same thing. They call her Queen of Heaven. That's this thing. He was like, I don't rock with her. I don't deal with Baal. Y'all sitting there worshiping. Those kingdoms no longer exist. That's why you don't see Mesopotamia and all of that. You don't see Babylon. You don't see it's rubble. You don't see it because dumb things. And now they brought it over here to America with the Phoenicians and the alphabet. So these are the things that are operating, and these are the things that are about to really full go hard and manifest up here in this season. Okay, so when they get activated, do not be surprised if they cross your path, post something dumb, reach out to the children and do something stupid, or however they're going to act out during this season, or put the new supply on blast and try to hurt your feelings, because their host, their ruler spirit from the celestials is here helping them out, giving them power. It was a video on there. That thing was like opened up this energy portal and was just giving energy, giving energy, giving energy. That's what happens up in them skies when people be asleep. They be giving them energy and stuff. That's why that NARC demon probably ain't sleeping much, because they on assignments. There is no rest for the wicked. They got to get up. They got to get prepared. They got stuff to do, and they get tormented. And they got to prepare on how to destroy you next. So they having racing thoughts on what can I do? How can I destroy them? I got to wake them up. I can make some noise. I can drop this. That's what happened, because the Nana is they ruler, and that's a whole monster. Okay, it's not good for them. And the only way they can offload some of those demons and some of that torment is to torment you. That's why he said they don't sleep unless they cause somebody to fall. That's in Proverbs. They can't even sleep unless they make you mad or ruin your day or take your smile off or get some joy from you or some peace from you. They feed off of your goodness. It's just an exchange. It's like the biggest stock exchange. When they cause you to lose some joy or some light essence, it fills them up, and they can actually survive like vampires. So you have to stay away from these terrible, terrible, tormenting spirits, this system. Get away from the whole system. If your boss a narcissist, leave the job. Do what you have to do first to sustain your next move. Always use an email. Always do per what you said, because they 100% liars. Always make sure you cover your grounds, but be looking for that next job. Because if they put that witch or warlock up in HR, they did that for a reason, to torment people. That's a system. It's probably a corporation, and the corporations are ran by the Marine Kingdom, and they designed to make the workers work hard, keep them distracted, and then get the most work out of them for the smallest amount of pay. So you want to make sure if you start to have issues, they gaslight and they targeting you, it's because a lot of them can see light in the spirit. A lot of them practice witchcraft. They practice black magic. They might even do some spiritualism, some of them, most of them in the dark stuff. And they can see who got the light, who got the compassion, and they just hone in and target that person. It's very strategic. But people who have been in the Marine Kingdom that has came out and that was in these corporations and positions, they were given jobs to do that, to look for those who had the light, look for those who had good hearts, who God had his hand on, and specifically make their life hard. Like this is a system for destruction. And Satan is not playing, because he hates us. So you got that happen. You got the persecution paranoia. This is still in the cult. So the secrets, like they don't want they secrets leaked out. So when you try to tell somebody what's going on, first they make sure they keep you in the DELULU land long enough to try to influence those that you might talk to, so that when you do go to them, it'll make you sound crazy, or it will make them kind of blow you off and kind of form that allegiance with the cult leader. So you have to be very mindful of who you start sharing things with when you're trying to plan an escape. Because if they are on this whole darker side, like got some sociopath, psychopath tendencies, those are the ones that will take you out and your children. Like you can't never really give them that plan on what they're doing if they have already caused physical harm to you. Even the psychological harm and made the threats, because they will carry it out because they're demons with no conscience. It's they can't feel what they do to that human like that. So you got to be very careful and just make sure you have a plan, a solid plan, and who is for them and who is not for you. You can't really share too much, because you'll be surprised once you get out of this stuff how many people really wasn't in your favor, and you cut them off. Do not explain to them. Don't go back and forth, because that will keep that wound open if you constantly communicate with them. The flying monkeys, because they will share and relay information that you are not even trying to hear. Yeah, China. I'm telling you, she know they are very bitter. They are very angry. They are horrible, horrible, horrible people, because if that's the case, like if somebody hurt you and done these terrible things to you, why would you want to do it to somebody else knowing how you felt? You got to be a heartless person for that. That's not even just an accidental, like I accidentally hit someone, with a binder, and I don't know how that felt, so I didn't say too much to them. That's like, how this feel, and you intentionally did it, like you planned it out. That's how they are. That's a very wicked heart. And then they talk about, if you still persistent on trying to get out, because this is when they start trying to leave, that's when they start attacking you. And then they get other people to attack you. Like it's been several churches I'm in a church term, because they were they so good with lying, and they have no limits or no morals, that they will lie in church, on the pulpit, to the members, whatever. And when they do that, you're not willing to go as low as them. Like a lot of people are like, okay, man, this deal breaker. I'm not about to be lying and doing all this stuff and everything in the church. You are tripping. They will do it in the church. They have no problem with it. So when it gets to the point where most people are believing them, you don't have to go blow for blow. You just take that tally. You're not my friend. This is where we depart. We're not cool. We don't have to call. We don't have to go and hash all that out. You just know where you stand. As soon as they come at you, just look at them. You don't even have to tell them, I know where you stand, because they're going to try to explain it. Well, da-da-da. If they are already like that and they coming at you knowing and seeing the abuse that you've been in, more than likely they have already messed with that NARC, or they've been thinking about messing with that NARC. So you just exit out, because when you cut them all the way off, you have to detox your brain and heal. And that healing takes some time. So you have to nurture yourself. You have to have that compassion on yourself. You have to get all of the things that you need to build yourself up, to start making yourself whole, because they break your spirit. They crush your heart, your soul, and everything. And they just leave you there. And sometimes it's not just your spirit and soul and stuff that they break. They break your children, and then they break the finances. They make it to where it's very, very hard to repair, because they want you to be broken and devastated, but they feel like if I break them enough, they're going to have to come back to me. Like they might have to ask me how to pay this bill, or they make it to where you will have to come back, and then they can try to make you beg or do some more dehumanizing things to make you bow down to them. That's what they want. So they try to set these traps, but you just stay persistent. You heal, you get through that pain, you cut off that family, because they raised that NARC, so they got them same demons. You got to cut that stuff off, and you got to keep moving and be okay with the now. Be okay with the crying that happens. Be okay with the anger that happens. Be okay with all of that. Process that, get it out. If you got to go to one of them tear up rooms and tear up things or throw something just to get it out, get it out. The narcissists hold it all in, and they take all the collective rage onto the next person, onto the next victim. They do more damage, more damage. You heal it. It's normal to feel rage and anger and hurt with betrayal trauma, because it's betrayal. Like what they do is the ultimate betrayal. They betray you and their own children, okay? And children that they have claimed as their own. They will do it in a heartbeat. But that's yeah, I'm telling you, China is on fire. Listen to her, because I'm telling you, yes, they do. They get so mad when you finally just be like, I'm done, and you are willing to just sit that stuff out. Like, I don't care if I don't have no place to live. I'm not going to you. They really can't take it, because it fractures them. They'll get to talking with their demons. Like, hey, demon, I thought you said that this would be cool. I thought you said if I did it like this, they'll come back. And the demon like, oh no, you just got to do this. Because see, they deceive too. They just make more of a fool of themselves. But when you don't come back, it really hit them like, dang, I'm not as good as I. They start really struggling, but the demons, they got company. So you can't, don't even feel sorry for them ever, because they got a whole crew of demonic spirits, like boosting them up, giving them false realities, all of that. Like, nah, that's just because she wanted to, be in the movies, or, he wanted to always go and do this trip. It's not you, never you. So they listen to them more than they listen to anything else. Let them demons talk to them, but you stay away. And then they have that final conflict. So this is always the cult. Okay, so I'm really talking about the cult here. But you see what usually happens with the cult? It's usually a violation of laws, or somebody is not existing. So they always gonna break that law. Even abuse is against the law. Like the crimes that they commit, they just don't get reported, because people who have hearts don't always want to see people in jail. You give them time after time till you can't. But it's always the legal system involved, because this whole Babylonian cult system is a system, and there is a judicial system involved. So you will be involved in their judicial system, and it's inevitable, because that's the altar that they built up. So you have to look at it like, okay, for my own life, I have to, whatever is coming out of this skin suit, that's what it is. It's a skin suit. They are an actor or actress at best, but more than likely they are a whole possessed thing. I don't even know what else to call them, but it's two in one. And they don't always be fully possessed. A lot of times the ones that are fully possessed are fully sold out. They either under MK mind control, or they under like in some politics, or they in a state mental hospital, never like always permanent delusion. They're not the ones that's like functional and doing stuff. Usually they are check in, check out. Now the time that they in and out, that varies, but they have some awareness. The real them have some awareness on the cruelty that they want to do to you. So they usually get some type of pleasure. They're very sadistic out of tormenting. So that demon allows them to be able to torment even greater, like give them even different ways to hurt you, and different, things to try. So they like to play little tricks, like hide the keys, do this or do that, or, make them go crazy, or see them cry. Let's see if we can make them cry today. That's the kind of fantasies that they have when they in that relationship, because you are loved and they are hate. That's it. So they love bomb you. That's just witchcraft. But ultimately, they hate everybody, including themselves. They don't have no love. They hang around the losers because they feel like they above them. So they get around people. They flying monkeys. They always feel like they superior to. They want to keep people in a DELULU land under them, worshiping them. Like, oh, look at you. You do this, and they can always find somebody. Like they will go out into the trenches to find somebody, that one person that's gonna give them all of that worship and accolades, because they just demons. Like, I don't know, they just terrible people. So instead of improving themselves and being that parent, or being that spouse, or being that brother, or whatever, or sister, or mom, or dad, or being that person they need to be, they rather fake it and get somebody as deluded as them or worse, that's going to pretend with them. And that's how the new supply is. The new supply is a pretender as well. They both sit there and go to DELULU land together. They probably on some illicit substance. A lot of times that's highly involved. and they just both go to the DELULU land, be in the negativity world, obsessed over the one with the good heart. They always gonna obsess over love because their daddy is Satan, and he always obsessing over Jesus, who is love. So it's that natural obsession that is always there. And with Joy Tracy, if you have, you say, so if your dreams, if you dreaming about snakes, and I mean, even if you have a tattoo or not, but a lot of times when you have dreams about snakes, that's usually witchcraft is involved or the marine kingdom, and usually both kind of overlap. So a lot of times it's some witchcraft involved. And these people, and I really want to like warn people with this, because I just found this out, not too long ago. Like my first husband, he actually, the person he ended up with, that he's still with, that they boyfriend girlfriend, but she's into witchcraft, like magic. And a lot of times when you get these attacks and these dreams, like they got altars and everything, you never know what somebody is into. So a lot of times when they leave you, this new supply person is usually into some dark arts, whether they saying like, oh, I'm into spiritualism, I can put an altar, I got this crystal, I'm gonna put a love potion, a love spell. They into that. So when they are into that temple, that altar requires a sacrifice. So they are going and they're going to put spells on people. And if that person, like say, like Joy Tracy, if you were with that person, and say I was married or however, a long-term relationship, and that person knew of you, and that person got them, that was witchcraft. They use witchcraft to get them. So if they use witchcraft to get this person, they're still practicing witchcraft. That's not going to change, because it's not something that they were just like, oh, I come to the light. If they stop practicing witchcraft, they will leave the NARC. So if they had to take somebody away from somebody, then witchcraft was involved, whether it's through seduction, whether it's through manipulation, whether they had to put on a front. That's manipulation. When they like, oh, I'm a cook for you, I'm gonna do all of this, I'm gonna do all of that. If they doing all of that stuff, manipulation, intimidation, domination, that's witchcraft. So they using witchcraft to get them, and that it'll take witchcraft to keep them. And so when they have their agreements, because the narcissist was a warlock or a witch, when they in agreement, there's a curse that's being spoken. So a lot of times coming out of this, it's good if you pray at night and say, I just cancel all witchcraft curses, word curses, agreement curses spoken against my life. I just send all witchcraft back to the demonic kingdom. Because if you do that, that kind of protects you. Because they will put stuff on you. Like them demons will tell them, like one bad phone call, oh man, let's do that. I'm gonna do this and put their name on this altar. Because they wicked. They're very wicked. And they are under a spell. Once they leave the good heart, like this is, and it's never like comparison, because some people like, well, don't say, that person is not good, and maybe they just don't know. Spiritually, when you know how this stuff operates in the spirit, if it's something that, was connected, or like say God was trying to help them or however, and they were seduced, if that was something they were in something and seduced out of it, that was witchcraft. And if they go to something else darker, they upload more demons. So more demons come through sex magic. The more that they cheat, the stronger demons come in. And even if they start getting right, when they go back, it's 7 more stronger. So yes, it's witchcraft, and they are in a worse place because they put on more demons. They took on more people's stuff, and they occult stuff, and they will send stuff to you and your family. And so you got to always be careful. And if you over their house, like I've hear a lot of stories just in, practice and everything in family, but I hear a lot, just in practice. And it's a lot of different things that occur that people go through. And when I bring up the witchcraft, yeah, they be like, well, yeah, they into that. That's what they do. They into, whatever kind of witchcraft, whether South America witchcraft, African witchcraft, some type of voodoo stuff. And you know, they have family members, like their grandparents or whatever, requesting fingernails or hair or, you know, different things. But when your children have to have shared parenting and they going over there and they dealing with somebody who have an altar, they're likely to try to take hair or try to take things and put it on an altar for that attack against your children. And sometimes they deceive and think they might be doing a spiritual blessing for your children, whatever, I don't know, that they go through to make them even do that, because it's, you know, it's magic, but they do it. And so I'm telling everyone on here to be careful, because I've experienced this stuff. Like I had a son who he actually witnessed his aunt get shot and passed away at age 11. But when people are practicing witchcraft, your child is in these situations. So if they have to have a custody by law, you have to keep them covered. Just because the narcissist got separated, it doesn't mean that the attack of the demonic kingdom within that narcissist has stopped against you and your children. And I've had, you know, that it was a lot of sickness that happened with them. You know, a lot of stuff happened. And I didn't even know that that was the one practicing witchcraft, because there has been, you know, quite a few relationships or marriages, and well, three marriages, 2.5. But there has been, you know, marriages, and the adultery and witchcraft has happened, but I couldn't pinpoint who would have done what. So a lot of times you just have to really cover your children, because it could be the one you least expect. Like that's the one I thought, you know, they would be okay or cool, because we don't really ever communicate, because those children are grown now. But still, they can be directing this witchcraft your way, and you won't know why you're losing that job. You won't know why your car is stalling. Now that the narcissist is gone, things should be better. Well, you probably got somebody doing witchcraft on you. And especially if they knew about you and they really couldn't stand you, and it was all this torture, like this back and forth, usually they doing some witchcraft. Are they going to the tarot lady? Are they doing some spells or potions or something to try to make your life harder? Those are your stalkers, new supply stalkers. Them are dangerous. And they already got the NARC is done. Like that NARC already is on a road of destruction of their own soul. But they want to go even further and try to put spells and hexes and things on you. Like this stuff is really going down now. So we have to really be careful. Yep, that family generational curse breakers. That's a lot of times that's us. That's the survivors, because when we got in this stuff, it was familiar. So the familiar spirit hooked and orchestrated everything up, along with spirit spouses, trauma demons, all of that. But when you are the curse breaker and you're like, you know what, enough is enough. No matter what it takes, I'm not about to be the same that I was yesterday. I'm not about to be the same that I grew up as. I'm going to do things different for me and my children. When that happens, there's a shift in the spirit realm, and they assign strategic witches and warlocks that usually have had some practice and higher rankings to come and target your life. So that's usually, you know, the narcissists kind of go with them people, because they are under a spell. This is not, they can wait 5, 6, 7 years to be sent to you. They can fast and wait all of that time. And then when that mission is set, they will be put right in that person's path that's with you. That's the weakest link, the one that's possessed. And then they can cause the calamity in your life, try to get you in, you know, arguing with them or get you interacting with them. And then they put the spells and curses. Like they don't have emotion either. This is missions and assignments. This is what it takes for them to continue to get whatever demonic rewards they get in their kingdom. So it's not even, they don't have that feeling for the narcissist. They're not sold out in love. It's a transactional thing. Both of them are equally wicked. You just removed yourself, which you stay removed, and keep your the heart of your children removed, because then they don't have anyone to feed on. Serpentine spirits, python spirits, all of them snakes type spirits, they love to feed on a life force, because in the Bible, in Genesis, it told, you know, the curse for the serpent was that he would eat dust. He will crawl on his belly and eat dust. And then a curse for man is they will go back to dust. So they like to feed on our energy source. And it's usually the serpentine ones that feed the most. So those are your more wicked ones. So the ones, I mean, it's really go a lot into that stuff with them snakes and reptile type DNA type stuff. That's some other stuff. But that's a lot of times the witches, they into that and they get those snake type spirits. So they really enchanters, divinators, they really can seduce and lie and bewitch and charm. So they can, let them be. Even if the narcissist is like that, because guys are like that too. They into that Python spirit, Leviathan spirit, all of those are in the same kingdom. Leviathan is just the ruler over that certain area, that certain pride kingdom. But then you got the self-idolatry kingdom, Baal, then you got the manipulation witchcraft, Jezebel. So you got different ruler spirits over different areas, but the same kingdoms: celestial, water, earth. It's all the same stuff. Demonic Satan kingdom. And a narcissist is in them all. They are temple for all. So don't ever, even if they come very meek and very modest and they the vulnerable narcissist and they always like some stuff just don't work out their way, do not feel sorry for them. Their makeup is pity. Okay, that is part of their demonic trap. It's a spider web trap. That person will take you out. Next thing you know, both of y'all be sitting there with all these sicknesses and ailments and all that stuff. They are a host for demons because they choose. They free will choose. Now, we all got that free will. They free will choose to manipulate, lie, cheat, steal, gaslight. We always have to go back to the basics of the characteristics, because not all narcs are the same. And they can be like, well, my narc don't do this. Well, they good some days. Well, we travel here. Well, they didn't put their hands on me. Basics: lying, cheating, manipulating, stealing, hiding money, gaslighting, talking to other people, flirting, disrespecting, dishonoring, defiling. That's them. So if that's the makeup, then they are narcissists. If they are narcissists, that entitlement, that need for attention and validation and all of that at the cost and expense of anybody else, that exploitation, I need you for this so I can make it and get here, so I can arrive and do this, so I can have this kind of image, that's exploiting. If they do those things and they meet that criteria, this is the demonic setup kingdom of systems that they have in their body system, okay? That's why everything is a system. But that kingdom of Babylon system is in them. And they got the whole system. It's legions. They got a whole operational team to take you out. And so you have to have that strategy. Now, I'm going to try to just, I want to wrap it up and kind of on a hopeful note. Like the good news is you're out of the system, hopefully, or most of you are thinking about getting out if you're not already out. That's the good news. The good news is you're getting understanding. You're getting knowledge. There's a lot of people kind of, saying things, but really stick to those that's not afraid to speak truth. Like I love Friday nights on there with Hario and China because it's real, and it's real, and people can say how they feel and everybody can give their own input. And it's just a really nice community that is non-judgmental, and it's really a place where you can get answers, because the therapists and them, they don't have answers. I work in the field, you go through this tools and you do CBT, you do all this stuff. Those are not answers. Those would keep somebody in DELULU trying to work on yourself, which you should, but you still attached to the demon. Like when you still attached to the demonic kingdom, that kingdom is going to come to you no matter how many meditations you do. No matter how many times you try to catch this thought, catch that thought, that can make you ziggity boo in yourself, because you will challenge, you will start doubting yourself like, okay, no, I'm not going to think that they cheating just because they picked up their phone. Okay, just because I've seen that person in their phone, I'm not going to think that's the same person. Maybe I'm in my thoughts. I do overthink. You will start attacking yourself because that system is still a system. Even psychology, I don't know how long I'm going to be in this system because it's getting real, real wicked, but it's a system. And so breaking that system is understanding, like, whatever they say, it don't matter. What do God say? Who do God think I am? He think everybody that he made that say, okay, God, or what is happening? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. He unconditionally loves. So there's no terms, conditions, and all of that for his love. He loves you because he loves you, because he loves you, because he loves you, because that's who he is. He is love. And he will help as long as the help is received. Like, we have to learn how to receive love, because he's our heavenly father. But a lot of times the parents didn't get it right. A lot of times they had these witches and warlocks, these demonic cults and all of that, and they was not able to show love. So their fragmented version of love, or whatever the heck you would call it, is what we can depict of our heavenly father until he teaches us. And so we have to be okay in our broken state, keep working on us, because that is, everybody is in progress. Like, coming out of this stuff, you coming out of the occult. It's like, you're not going to come out the occult or get rescued out of this stuff and just all of a sudden know everything about God. That's not how it works. It takes time to really heal, and he's very careful. He knows who to lead you to. He knows how to kind of, here's the truth. He'll gravitate you to, those who are supportive, or those who got real answers. He'll start doing that because it's by his spirit. So we want to be careful and not listen to people who don't know what the heck they talking about. Like, it's been just so many leaders, like in the medical field. I understand, why they just off, because a lot of them are atheists. Like, they witches or warlocks, or they practice something else themselves. So I get it. They just part of that system. But the church, now, anytime I've told many, I've been at some meetings, like, you are wrong. Like, you need to tell that person that husband is beating on them, or that wife that's sleeping with everybody, they need to leave. You can't, they should be the first ones saying, no, this is a demonic setup. But they so scared to, like, lose money or lose members, or, oh, we don't want to say that. We don't want to call this. Who gonna say it? Who can recognize the devil but the church? But a lot of times now we just have this high percentage of narcissists now in the pulpit, because it's the podium and all that involved, and they get in their accolades that they love, so they pacify this stuff. But because the narcissist always moving up and always helpful, because they want to manipulate and they want to exploit as many people as possible. And what better way to do that in the organization of the church? Not the real church, not his real people, because they'll tell the truth. They don't give a crap. But the church need to say something like, these are answers, because I've read Prayers of an Availeth Wife. I've read all the Stormy books. I did it all. I fasted 40 days, 31 days, 20 days, all of that. Did all of this praying and fasting and doing this. And I'm not going to say this. I'm going to be very submissive. I'm going to do that. I'm telling you, the devil was laughing at me. Like, ha, 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 she fasting again. She gonna be hungry. Because watch what this devil finna do. Because they got them. We gotta have that discernment and understand it don't matter what people are saying out their mouth. We know what we dealing with. We can't have that self-doubt, and can't have this stuff where we attacking ourselves like a spiritual autoimmune disorder. That's what they want to get us on, to where we spiritually defeat ourselves. And we just like, no, we ain't who we are. We're not who God said. We don't remember. That's how the devil wants us. But when we see what we saw and we know what we know, that's it. Correct your pastor or leave. That might even be even better, because they are deceived. It's a lot of people being deceived in this hour. Look at what's going on in the world. It's just a whole lot of deception. I'm up here in Ohio. They tripping out here. It's all kind of crazy stuff happening. But this is a whole system that is designed to get people sucked in for destruction. So we have to be mindful, like, okay, we are, one, survivors. Okay, everybody on here survivors. And then two, we know what the heck evil is. So we now have some more of this common sense that's coming back to us out of the DELULU land. So we can discern when something is off. And then you getting the boldness back. You becoming more fearless, because the enemy, he operates in fear. That's what the shadow spirits are. That's what all of that is, nightmares, all of that. But God operates in faith. So when you start getting the more faith that he empowers you with, endows you with, the more you overcome, that boldness gonna come out. You're gonna be like, nah, you be at work, the boss be like, nah, boss, you lying. You just sit there and tell them, no, you are lying. We are both human beings, adult human beings, and you straight lying in this meeting. And then you pull out your evidence and you say, well, per your, email here, here, and here, this is what was written. Now, if you wanted to go against policy, I ask you, do you want to go against policy per our conversation? And so you have to always make sure when dealing with these witches and warlocks and twisted serpents that you know how to defend yourself and speak with that boldness. Never let somebody walk all over you again, because you are worthy to not go through that. Not saying don't be humble, but humble and being stepped on are two different things. You can humbly say, I'm not yelling at you or cursing you out. Per your email, this is what has happened in my humble voice. But don't let them just badger you. It's no more of that stuff. We can be meek, we can be sweet and all of that, but we are not to be abused. There is emotional abuse, there is psychological abuse, there's physical abuse, there's financial abuse. These are the systems of abuse, okay, and manipulation, and there's sexual abuse. And we want to make sure that we are not in this whole system. We look at all of those areas. Are they messing up here? Check. Are they messing up here? Check. You got enough checks, you only need about 2, maybe 1. Bye. You are worth more than being abused. Okay, worth more than that. It don't matter how the family was in it. It don't matter if they still being abused. It don't matter if they just succumb to that stuff with the familiar spirits. You are worth more than being abused, because your Father in heaven said so. And that's what we have to be at right now, because it took a long time to get here. It's like, well, we got to just do this, or we can work this out, or we can do that. No, we are precious. It's just, we are precious. We have intellect. We are wise. We are creative. I speak to so many beautiful people, like, oh my gosh, like, I would so have been your friend in school. It's like all of this stuff, because there are just some great people. And the great people just been targeted and been stumped on and been silenced. But no more, like, we got to expose these systems. We got to say, what the church will not say. Like, no, these people are in demonic spiritual warfare. Do you know how to cast out demons? If your pastor don't know how to cast out demons, and the fake ones, you still got to do the background check on their lifestyle. Which wife is that? 1, 2, or 3? Like, how many have you had? Because if that's not the first wife, second wife, or whatever, depending on if they were saved or not saved, bye, you got to leave them. Because if they were in church and that's second, third wife, or however that goes, they ain't right. They ain't right. The second pastor I was with, he on wife number 5. Okay, he choked out number 4. So he on wife number 5, and that was a long time member. So these people can get out of jail. They learn all of this stuff in jail. They do wonderful prison ministry. And then now they have these felonies and stuff on their record, and they need a home. And so they get with these people who have been building their life, building their business, building their stuff. They get with them, they bewitch them, and then they start to cipher out their destiny. They start to swap that stuff. And that's how they get ahead. And they got all them occult books in there in jail, right along with the Bible. So you just got to be mindful of who is in these churches or these leaders. I mean, shoot, nowadays, this is the church for me, platforms, because I've been to them. I've been to a lot of the leadership, all of that stuff. And it's corrupt. Like, it's crazy. I had one like leadership meeting. They're like, hey, we need to write these rules. What are we gonna do when somebody have a conflict, or who can sit down and who should eat with who? And I'm like, well, don't the Bible tell us that? I mean, it's really like in here in Galatians, like all of the answers. I got kicked out. So it's like when you speak up in these places, they want a dictatorship. But in that system, church, religion is a system. School is a system. Government is a system. Healthcare is a system. All of these are the systems. And this system is controlled by the beast. Okay, they got that straight here. The beast is straight here. And they got the whole technology mark, all of that stuff going on now that they are about to roll this stuff out. They talking digitals, this and that. This is in chaos right now. Setting the stage, for the one that's to come, because That's why this stuff is so crazy. Any system that's set up by the devil, we've seen what ends with the cult. It is designed to have losses and death. That's it, the Reaper. So the system was made, I guess, New Deal, whatever. Our history is so sketchy because that was part of the educational system to miseducate us. So you got all of these systems, but the system is going to fail because the Babylonian system that the stage was set for always failed. It failed when Nimrod, it failed when Nebuchadnezzar and them. It's going to fail now because God, the real one up there, he don't play with that. Yeah, I mean, it's rubble. If they had common sense up there in the governmental system, they would look at the other lands like, hey, that's rubble. Maybe we shouldn't do that. But no, they don't. They ran by demons. So a lot of them are just a whole different thing. That's a whole topic. If I could ever do a live on Black Goo and all that stuff, I would do it. I think I might try to do that in a couple weeks. I got to get the material together, but I'm going to show you that stuff is all the system. And now the system that we want to have, we just want to be under God's system, and that's love. You want to love as many people that is humanly possible. I ain't talking about them NARC. You love them by saying, God have mercy, and you just move on. Know the heart of the people you deal with. Surround yourself with like-minded people who got compassion. He tells us don't do that. He say separate yourself. What fellowship has light with darkness. If they operating under kingdom of darkness, they're going to bring you down. So we want to have wisdom, because he say be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. So we want to understand how they're going to operate, but we got to use wisdom and common sense when we interacting long term, when we're sharing vital information, who we have in our inner circle versus just somebody in passing. Okay, a lot of these narcissists, we weren't even really supposed to be shaking hands with them. We just supposed to probably say, hey, God bless you, and move on. But they swindled their way into our system, into our inner circle, into our minds, into our hearts. So we have to be mindful of that, and we have to guard our hearts. So I hope this was really, really helpful. Thank everyone for coming. Like, I'm really trying to stay consistent. It's hard, but I'm like, okay, God, I'm just going to do it. So I thank everyone for being here. I thank everyone for sharing. I thank everyone for even coming. And I really pray that everyone on here is just healed. I pray that the wholeness come. I pray that, against any attacks, any witchcraft stuff, any spells, hexes, voodoo curses, incantations, all of that. I pray that it just go to sender, that none of you guys are affected with any type of retaliation from any means of the demonic kingdom in Jesus' name, because we have to really understand and protect ourselves. We really do in this hour. So everyone have peace, love, and joy. And I hope to see you again next week. So hopefully this helps. Take care. Bye.